Mother Nature has done its thing and created a sizable gap here in the street, one that's really hard to avoid and something we're all too familiar with here in Pennsylvania and in Allentown. Luckily, though, there is now something that we can do. If we see them, we can report them. Earlier tonight, I spoke with a representative from the college who couldn't say whether there was a direct threat of violence from this former student, but clearly school officials felt strongly enough about it to be shutting down all campuses tomorrow. Those who came out today say they feel like they've won the race because each passing week without a vaccine felt like another lap with no finish line in sight. Blunt force trauma to the head. That's what the Monroe County coroner says led to the death of a 2-month-old baby inside an apartment in Barrett Township 1 week ago. 3 people are facing charges related to this incident, but none are facing murder charges. The ice is melting fast here at Beltzville Lake. It's possible that 24 hours ago there was enough ice on the lake for this man to feel confident enough to venture out onto it. Still, the DCNR recommends you don't go ice fishing alone. Rob Wendy, officials here at the PPL Center are excited to get fans back in the stands and the players too, as you can imagine. This move to allow higher capacity limits will of course bring in more spectators and with it more jobs. Yeah, this is not a road you want to be walking on, especially with the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, Rob and Wendy. As we've covered this story throughout the afternoon and evening, we've noticed that a majority of the traffic on this road is that commercial 18-wheeler and tractor trailer, and police say that is exactly what hit and killed an 81-year-old man here earlier this afternoon. A lot's going on in this bill, Rob and Wendy. Nearly $2 trillion goes out to things like schools and vaccine distribution, but the main thing people are focused on is the $1,400 they're about to receive. A sad end indeed, Jim. Yeah, a 70-year-old man came ice fishing here yesterday and did not return home. As you can see behind me, there is still ice on the water. It's starting to break up, even melt in some places. We've also seen it shift a bit over the last couple of hours. All of this over some really warmer temperatures we've been having. Yeah, it really is, guys, and the family is just devastated by this. I spoke to several of them over the phone tonight who say that they are simply heartbroken, wish that they could go back in time and do something to stop this, but a community of supporters and advocates are continuing to support this family. 3 people died here in a fiery crash. A 4th victim is still in the hospital in critical condition. We learned today all 4 victims have ties to Desales University and are both current and former students. This was the scene at 4435 Lanark Road in Upper Saucon Township Saturday night. A Dodge Charger wrapped around a tree and caught on fire. The Lehigh County coroner says 3 people died, 2 men and 1 woman. Another victim, a 3rd man, is in the hospital in critical condition. We learned all of the victims have ties to Desales University.
It's with great sadness that I wanted to invite prayers. We had maybe some of you know, but there was a very serious car crash last night involved with 4 members of our university community.
University President Father Jim Greenfield addressed parishioners at Sunday Mass, naming several victims. All 3 men are current and former Desales baseball players.
At a present senior sport and exercise phys major and baseball player, Sean Hanzarek, is deceased. Nicholas White, a 2020 graduate who was living in Allentown at the time, is deceased. In critical condition and in surgery right now is Brandon DiCiaccio, a senior sport and exercise phys major and also baseball player.
In a letter to university alumni, President Greenfield says the woman who died in the crash is 2020 graduate Emily Katner. And prayer services were held on Desales campus today, while many others drove by here to catch a glimpse of the aftermath. The autopsies are scheduled for tomorrow. We're live in Upper Saucon Township. I'm Holly Harrar, 69 News. Yeah, if you tune into our newscasts regularly, you've probably seen these clear partitions behind me at least once or twice over the last year or so. Still, very few of us use this newsroom a year later, and we're still socially distanced, and for some of us, still working from home. 1 year ago, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic. It was news to all of us that day, and like so many of you, we were left to figure out what's next.
I couldn't see it in my head how we would be able to do it.
Our producers began working from home, which was weird, as our 4 p.m. producer Jake Gillespie put it.
Before, you needed something, you turned over your shoulder, or, you used the intercom or whatever. Everyone was kind of right at your fingertips. And now we're relying on these virtual Zoom meetings and Microsoft Teams to connect and communicate with each other.
For many, the pandemic has made Zoom and Teams a verb. For us reporters, it's meant taking separate cars and using said car as our office day in and day out. Occasionally, we'd find ourselves back behind the desk or working from home. Through it all, we've had to look out for one another, albeit a daily balancing act.
It's difficult. It's not ideal. I had no idea that the year would be the way it has unfolded.
Even our anchors do what they have to do. A year ago, they could reach over and pat each other on the back. Now, as you've seen, 6 feet separates them.
I didn't think we'd be standing here a year later with all the same protocols and still in an isolated office and everybody working from home.
As more vaccines become available, we breathe a little easier because we know as much as anyone, a little hope goes a long way.
I do hope that we can get back to running the newsroom the way we used to.
And we continue to roll with it here at 69 News while doing our best to go out and gather the news as safely as we can. Live from a very quiet newsroom, I'm Holly Harrar. Back to you guys.